I played football in the streets first when I was a kid. I loved it. And it wasn't until my sophomore year in high school that I started playing. But I really played it more as a complement to what I liked best, and that was track and field. Playing in the NFL wasn't like my dream. Some athletes already know in the fifth grade they want to play in the NFL. And that was really the furthest thing from my mind.
JJ Birden.
My high school year, I had a really good senior year. I was like ranked the #1 high school wide receiver in the state of Oregon. But when colleges came around, they looked at me and said, well, you're 5'9", 133 pounds. You can't play Division I, so you should go to small college. And what was interesting was I wasn't trying to play college football, but the fact that they came around and started telling me I was too small and I didn't belong, all of a sudden that kind of sparked something in me like, okay, wait a minute. You think I'm too small? I'm gonna prove you guys wrong. That I could play Division I, but I realized that track was going to be the vehicle to get me into Division I school because I was, one of the top ranked long jumpers in the nation. But when I was being recruited for track, I had a lot of Division I schools that were interested in me. But when I mentioned, hey, what do you think about me playing football? All those schools said, no way. They were like, no, we can't do both, just track. And so when Oregon was recruiting me, so what do you think about me trying football? And he said, I tell you what, I make a deal with you. You come to Oregon, you run the first year, and we'll do whatever we can to help you get a chance to walk on your second year. So when he said that, I thought, opportunity, I just want a shot. And so I went to Oregon, I ran the first year, and the second year I would go and sneak and watch the football practices. I wanted to see the guys, compare myself to them, and as I watched long enough, I thought, okay, I could be playing this level easily, but I got to get the head coach to see me. So the next day I got on the field and watched practice, and I was trying to be really bold. And finally, Rich Brooks, the head coach, saw me. He comes all the way down the field. I was behind the goalpost, kind of hiding. He comes down and then he said, hey, kid, I see you out here. He goes, I know who you are. You're Birden. Yeah, he says, do you think you can play? And I go, yeah, I can play. And they said, okay, let's talk about it. Come see me the next day. The next day, we had a 30-minute conversation, and 28 minutes of that conversation was me convincing him I could play. And he finally said, okay, we're going to give you a shot, and we're going to invite you to camp. You can walk on. He said, if you make the team, we'll take your scholarship from track and switch to football. So that was it. And so anyway, I go into camp. I was like 15th on the depth chart. I was way down there as wide receivers, but I didn't really care. 2 weeks later, I was second string. I was number 2. And the head coach said, we had no idea you could catch the ball and run and play like this. And I said, well, because you guys were too busy looking at me from the outside. I said, you didn't know what was in my heart, in my mind. You didn't know how bad I really wanted it. And that really kind of launched my college football career. And for the next 4 years, I did track and football. Yeah, any athlete in college on scholarship knows it's hard enough to being a student athlete for one sport, and I was in 2. So I didn't have a lot of free time, I had a horrible 2 years as a starter. I broke my arm my junior year. I played like 5 games. I severely twisted my ankle my senior year. I played like 6 games. So my senior year comes around. I only had 25 catches, like 1 touchdown. Not NFL caliber stats. No way. So I'm not even thinking about the NFL still. I'm like, no way. I didn't do much. And then to my surprise, I got invited to the NFL Combine, where they invite the top prospects, and I didn't even know what the Combine was. And when I learned what it was, I thought, well, let me go ahead and go, test myself against other athletes, see how I measure up. And then when I got there, and I saw the top athletes, these guys you're seeing on TV, these All-Americans. Like I said, there was Tim Brown, and there was Sterling Sharp, and there was Aaron Cox, and Anthony Miller, and all these top guys who were in the first round. And I was just like, what the heck am I doing here with these guys? And it took a little time because first I had to really understand where I was. And then when I got on the field, I was like, dude, This is what you do. Run, jump, catch the ball. You can do that in your sleep. So I had to get my mind right and say, yeah, maybe these guys are all Americans and all that, but you can run, you can catch the ball. Go do what you got to do. Go show out. I had the best long jump. I had the best vertical of all the receivers. I was in the tops for the speed agility. So I tested well, but I was still kind of a mystery player because I didn't have a lot of stats. You know what I mean? And that was kind of the mindset I took, is that I want them wondering, who's this little track guy that's flying around here catching the ball? And I had to remind myself, I have the ability, you just need to go out there and do it.